Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for joining me for the video today. I wanted to do something a little bit different and look at second-year running backs and answer the question, which second-year backs will level up in 2022? I chose 10 of my favorites to kind of go over and evaluate and give you guys the scoop on where I feel like they will be at the end of the year. Now, before we get into all of that, if you are new to the channel, welcome. Please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I cannot say enough thank yous for all of the support that I've already received. It means so very much to me. Keep it coming. We're on our way to our first 500 subscribers, and we are almost halfway there. With that done, let's get into this version of Hot Off the Press. Now, these backs are in no particular order. We're going to start in Cincinnati with Chris Evans, who is still stuck behind not only Joe Mixon, but Samaje Perine as well in the pecking order in the backfield there. It is unlikely that Evans elevates his game much in 2022, unless, of course, an injury occurs in front of him. The opportunities otherwise are just not going to be there. Evans did flash in spurts, especially in the passing game, and 2023 is likely the year that he takes over that backup role with Perine's contract expiring. Until then, though, Evans is stuck playing third fiddle. We have Khalil Herbert up next, and he proved to be an excellent late-round pick for Chicago. He flashed plenty of potential when David Montgomery went down with an injury earlier on in the season. When he started from weeks 5 to 8, he rushed for 344 yards and a score, and he averaged 4.4 yards per carry. Now, the issue, though, was after that, opportunity basically vanished. From weeks 9 on, he saw a total of 22 carries. It was very clear that the Bears were most comfortable with a bell cow role for Monty. Now, maybe with a new regime in town, that can change. He's going to be the clear number 2, but what that exactly looks like is anyone's guess. Still, the talent is there, and I believe the opportunity grows if it's only just slightly. Herbert is going to take a step forward, but how big of a step depends on how many rushes he actually gets and the development of Justin Fields. Next up, it is Najee Harris, and the Steelers got exactly what they were hoping for from Harris in 2021 as the rookie balled out with a King Henry-sized workload for nearly the entire season. It wore him down a little bit, especially as the year wore on, but I expect more of the same in 2022 as the Pittsburgh Steelers try to take some pressure off of Mitch Trubisky. While Harris was extremely impressive last year, I do anticipate a step back with this new quarterback as the defender's key on the backfield because of it. The bar was set way too high and the volume was too great for him to have an encore. If Harris thought that it was tough sledding last year with that poor offensive line in 2021, things could be even harder on him during the upcoming season. Harris was more of a volume guy anyway, as he averaged under 4 yards a carry for the season. Now, that is the lowest number of any player on this list. His efficiency is going to have to rise for him to move forward, and I do not believe that is in the cards for Najee next year. He's still going to probably push for 1,500 total yards, but it might be hard to repeat those double-digit scores from last year. Next to Philadelphia with Kenneth Gainwell, and unfortunately for him, Philly had way too many mouths to feed last season and they struggled to stay committed to the run, at least early on. When they did though, they found plenty of success, but that was mostly with one of the 3 backs that were in front of Gainwell in 2021. Now, if it wasn't Miles Sanders, and most of the time it wasn't, for whatever reason, it was Jordan Howard, and Boston Scott saw plenty of work too. This doesn't even take into account that Jalen Hurts has a propensity to take off and tuck and run himself. However, with Jordan Howard a free agent, maybe there's a little bit of room for Gainwell to make headway in the opportunity department as the team's 3rd back. But I wouldn't bet on it. Gainwell is likely going to see around the same amount of touches that he did last year, and he will struggle to make much of an impact outside of the passing game where he was really solid last year. The next 2 on my list both reside in San Francisco, and we're going to start with Trey Sermon, who flat out had one of the weirdest seasons in recent memory. Now, As a third-round pick, I expected him to potentially steal that starting gig in the 49er backfield pretty early on, and I was not alone in that thought. And if not immediately, surely by mid-season, he'd be breaking out with that perceived lack of competition and injury history on the roster in front of him. That, however, never materialized. Sermon got stuck in the doghouse, he battled injuries, and then he was eventually placed on IR. He didn't play after week 11 in 2021. Now, I'm not exactly sure where he goes from here, but the chances of him taking a leap in 2022 seem poor at best. Now, thankfully for San Francisco, that really didn't matter much because Elijah Mitchell was a revelation. If not for injuries, he would have threatened Najee Harris's rushing yardage total as he played in just 11 games in 2021, and he still almost broke 1,000 yards on the ground. Mitchell is likely going to pick up right where he left off, and he could see even more work if he can stay healthy and the Niners actually commit to Trey Lance as their guy. Because if that is the case, I would expect a heavy dose of the ground game to help ease the second-year quarterback in. Now, with Deebo Samuel apparently unhappy in his ground game usage, it's really just J. Michael Hasty as the only other show in town. Mitchell's going to have all of the opportunities in front of him to build off an awesome rookie season. Having one of the best, most versatile fullbacks in the league doesn't hurt either, and that only adds to my belief that Mitchell breaks the barrier and probably scores a few more times as well in 2022. He's going to level up as a key cog in that 49ers attack. To New England and Rhamondre Stevenson, and preseason Stevenson truthers were quickly quieted last year when he started the year with just 1 carry in week 1 before being inactive for the next 3 games. Now, they were allowed to emerge from their caves in week 9 when he had 62 yards on 10 carries against a really stout Carolina front 7, and then they were back in full force in week 10 when Rhamondre went absolutely crazy in his first start, racking up 114 total yards and a pair of scores. The rest of the year, I would say, had its ups and its downs, but much of that can be blamed on the lack of opportunity with Stevenson splitting carries with Damian Harris. In a small sample size, to be sure, Stevenson's 4.6 yards per carry ranks second on this list. And in the 12 games that he did appear in last year, he averaged over 5 yards per carry in half of them. According to PFF, Stevenson was a top 5 back across the entire league in 2021, and his workload is likely to increase this year. With the Patriots as committed to the run as basically any team in the league, and with a lack of weapons in the New England passing game, I expect big things. I cannot really see an outcome for Stevenson here where he does not level up with maybe 750 yards and 5 touchdowns as the floor for him in 2022. If things fall right, if Harris goes down with an injury again, he could certainly push for his first career 1,000-yard season. To the Denver backfield with Javonte Williams, and after an incredible rookie season, it might seem like a tall task for Williams to be able to elevate his game to the next level. But I do believe he does just that in 2022. The addition of Russell Wilson is going to do wonders for this offense, and it's going to open up plenty of running lanes for Williams to take advantage of. It's honestly a bit of a shame that the Broncos brought back Melvin Gordon, as I would have loved to see what Javonte could do as the bell cow in Denver. But Williams is still going to be the 1A and is likely going to get a lot more of the lion's share of the carries, with Gordon more or less spelling him. I doubt that we see that 50-50 split that we saw last year. In the 4 games where Williams was the guy and had 15 or more carries, he combined for 358 yards on the ground and 96 through the air and scored 3 total touchdowns. He could easily surpass 1,500 yards of total offense, and double-digit touchdowns are well within his range of outcomes too. He is one of my favorite level-up candidates next season. Next to New York, it's Michael Carter, and after being drafted in the 4th round to a crowded New York Jets backfield, it seemed pretty unlikely that Michael Carter would make much noise at all as a rookie. A slow start all but cemented that thought until week 8, when Carter put up 172 yards of total offense and scored a touchdown in an upset win over Cincinnati. Everything was fine and dandy until week 11, when an injury against Miami took him out for 3 games. Now, Carter would return for the last 4 games of the season, but really only had an impact in one of them. Then, this year, the Jets double dipped, selecting running back Breece Hall in the second round, and the backfield became even murkier. However, I actually think that this is a rare instance where the competition for touches increases value, and I like the pick of Hall for Michael Carter. Hall's size is going to allow Carter's load to be lessened and therefore hopefully allow him to avoid injury. With the backfield split, I expect Carter to be able to have more impact plays while playing fresher, and this offense could be better as a whole as well, which increases the likelihood of scoring plays from the second year back. Don't get me wrong, this is not going to be a case of a full breakout year for Carter, but he's going to increase his yardage both on the ground and through the air, and he's going to add a couple of scores to his 2021 numbers too. The final back that I'm going to cover is Travis Etienne. Now, I was really excited to see what Etienne could bring to the table for Jacksonville prior to that preseason injury. And a Lisfranc injury is certainly no joke, but according to him, he's about 90% back and he should be fully cleared to go by training camp. Stud back James Robinson, who is still working himself back from an Achilles injury that was suffered last December, may not be ready to go right away, and that leaves the door open. While Etienne's role may be a little unclear right now, if he gets the majority of the touches with Robinson's sidelines, there's a possibility that he never looks back. There is no doubt that the Jags are going to find ways to get him heavily involved. And as a former first-round pick, they basically have to. And it's likely that Etienne is going to be used all over the field. Now, Jacksonville's lack of explosive play ability is clear. They ranked last in the NFL with 31 big plays in 2020 and 2021 combined. Etienne, on the other hand, was one of the most explosive players in the country during his 4 years at Clemson. From 2017 to 2020, he led the NCAA with 55 runs, totaling 20 yards or more, and he scored 21 touchdowns on those while racking up over 2,000 yards. It was an average of over 37 yards per rush on those totes. Of course, it is a big jump to the NFL, but I expect the explosiveness to be there for Etienne's game in 2022, and the Jaguars to benefit from it. It is easy to level up after a year lost to injury, but Travis should burst onto the scene and show the world while he was taken one pick behind Najee Harris. Etienne is going to surpass 1,000 yards with ease, and he is one of the prime breakout candidates of any position in 2022. And that is going to wrap up my list today. I really hope you guys enjoyed the content. If you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please consider giving me a like and subscribe. I cannot thank you enough for all of the support. It means so very much to me. It enables me to do what I love so I can keep bringing you guys the content that you love. To all my current subscribers out there, I really appreciate you guys so very much. This is Relentless Press. I'm your host, Abraham Opatz, and we'll see you next time.